En efecto, durante la sesión, varios congresistas recalcaron que las medidas adoptadas por Boric, desde el desaire inicial al embajador hasta el retiro de agregados militares, rompían la tradición de respeto mutuo y cooperación militar que Chile mantenía con Israel desde hace más de 40 años. Por lo tanto, los legisladores advirtieron que, en caso de que Boric continuara tensionando las relaciones entre Chile e Israel por motivos ideológicos personales, Estados Unidos evaluaría sanciones diplomáticas, así como restricciones en materia de cooperación estratégica y militar, con el fin de proteger los intereses de su principal aliado en Medio Oriente. Veamos a continuación el diálogo de los congresistas para luego comentar.
The subcommittee on the Western Hemisphere will come to order, and the purpose of this hearing is to discuss the rise of anti-Semitism in Latin America and the responses of the governments in the region to the ongoing war in Israel, and the impact of these responses on our U.S. foreign policy objectives in the region. Specifically, 3 Latin American countries, Colombia, Honduras, and Chile, recalled their ambassadors to Israel shortly after Israel began defending itself. This is not the first time that these leaders, unfortunately, have spoken or have shown their prejudice against the state of Israel. Let me just give you another couple of examples. In 2019, Gabriel Boric, again, the president of Chile, returned a jar of honey the Jewish community of that country had sent to him in a gesture of friendship. And he said, "Why don't you stop stealing the land of the Arabs instead?" It is despicable, as I'm sure you agree, that the heads of state have these type of opinions. But today we have a witness from State Department who works on the issues of combating anti-Semitism globally, including Latin America. The Honorable Deborah Lipstadt is the Special Envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism for the Office of the Special Envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism at the State Department or at the Department of State.
The Western Hemisphere has become a key focus of our efforts, my and my team's efforts to combat rising global anti-Semitism for quite some time. My deputy, Aaron Kiak, and I have visited numerous countries in the region since my swearing in to convey the message that the United States government takes anti-Semitism seriously and urges governments, communities, law enforcement to do the same. We have seen leaders in the region perpetuate anti-Semitic tropes online and conflate criticism of Israel's policies with anti-Jewish hatred. We are deeply disappointed that some Latin American countries, including, as you mentioned, Bolivia, have chosen to suspend or cut diplomatic relations with Israel since the Israel-Hamas conflict, and that some others, including Honduras, Chile, and Colombia, recalled their respective ambassadors to Israel for consultations. We do not believe that reducing diplomatic channels works towards our shared goal of promoting a long-term solution to the crisis. When my deputy traveled to Chile in December 2023, he had conversations with high-level government officials and urged them to engage with the local Jewish community at the highest level.
When you travel to these countries in Latin America, you are the American representative. You know, the United States is highly regarded by all these countries. Whether they like us or not, they need us, right? So you are the American representative. Okay. So, what are the consequences for a Petro or a Lula or a Zelaya to be insulting Israel, one of our most important allies in the Middle East? Do they think that there is going to be any type of consequences from the American government if they were to behave that way? Because when the president of a country speaks, then that gives license, gives a patent or an open door to all the other members of that society that hate Israel to come up and say something or do something. So what are the consequences coming from the United States to these countries? All I'm saying is, and I'm sure that you agree, is that Israel is our number one ally. I'm not saying that we want peace in Israel and that we want peace in the region and that we understand that the Palestinians are going through a very hard time at the time. We understand all that, and no one has the monopoly on compassion. But I think the United States should send the message to our allies in the Western Hemisphere that we need to be on the same page when it comes to Israel. And what we have seen lately is it's complete divergence. It's completely moving away from what we have established for the last 50 years towards Israel. So aren't you concerned?
I'm deeply concerned. I'll tell you, I'm deeply concerned not just about the region, but we've seen it in Europe, we've seen it in other places.
Well, but let's stay in Latin America.
Okay, staying with Latin America. So, many of the statements which you have referred to, which I have referred to, cross the line.
Thank you. Cross the line. So then what are the consequences when you cross the line? That's what I'm saying, not just scolding you.
Well, I would hope that there will be, that they will get the message that this is something, if they want to work with the United States closely, this is not something that redounds to their benefit.
I now recognize Representative Huizenga for 5 minutes.
When we see this, when trade partners and allies and certainly the economic activity that we have between our countries, we should have some influence over that. I want to make sure our ambassadors are not just speaking out. I want them to be forcefully screaming about this.
I think they are. I think they also are meeting privately. I'll give you an example of a case I know better, Chile. Our ambassador there, Ambassador Meehan, arrived in Chile on just the day after, I believe it was, but very close proximity to when President Boric refused to, when the new Israeli ambassador came to the palace to present his credentials, and Boric refused to see him. An action not just don't come now, come later, but of major political significance.
Thank you, Representative. And I want to thank the ambassador for a magnificent job that you're doing. We very much appreciate the fact that you are not only an ambassador in title, but you're an ambassador in words and in actions, and that you're sending a very strong message to those who may not feel it, but the only thing that we could do is force them to behave well and not to send the wrong message to their populations in Latin America that being anti-Semitic or anti-Jew is okay.
That's right.
So I think it's
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity.
No, the opportunity to talk to you, and please continue sending that right message, because as I said at the beginning, I know how the Latin American countries feel when they have an American representative from the United States government. And even though they may not agree with what you're saying or what you're demanding from them, but they think about it twice before not going in favor of what the message that you're sending. It's despicable what's happening with Petro or with Lula or with Boric. You cannot say that about our number one ally. And we understand that the Palestinians do have the rights too. We're not saying that, but you cannot solve one. You cannot help one by attacking the other. We got to help both.
Tal como se puede apreciar en el registro, Gabriel Boric ha decidido tensar relaciones con el principal aliado de Occidente en Medio Oriente sin considerar que está comprometiendo no solo su propia imagen diplomática, sino también exponiendo a Chile a un aislamiento creciente en espacios estratégicos donde incluso los congresistas de Estados Unidos ya manifestaron su malestar. En efecto, durante las últimas horas se ha confirmado que la molestia de parlamentarios norteamericanos responde a una preocupación concreta por las decisiones que Boric ha tomado respecto de Israel, las cuales, según se indicó en una sesión especial, podrían tener consecuencias directas sobre acuerdos de cooperación ya existentes con nuestro país. Asimismo, sorprende que en medio de esta tensión internacional creciente, Gabriel Boric continúe tomando decisiones de política exterior sin consultar con el Congreso Nacional ni con organismos técnicos, lo que ha llevado a pensar que su motivación no es estratégica, sino más bien ideológica y orientada al posicionamiento personal frente a determinados sectores. Por lo tanto, resulta evidente que no solo se está generando una fractura con una nación históricamente cercana a Chile, sino que además Boric parece subestimar el riesgo que implica para las Fuerzas Armadas chilenas ver restringida la cooperación militar, tecnológica e informativa proveniente desde Estados Unidos e Israel.